Happy Sunday, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Elan's Matchup Maximizer, a podcast presented by Keeping Karlsson, where I, Elan Dubrovsky, take a look at next week's schedules to help you figure out who are your best streaming options to be the most successful in your head-to-head matchups. We're looking for players on teams that have good schedules with a lot of off days that we think are going to go off and help get you that W. Hopefully you all had a good week 8, and now we're heading into maybe a pretty crucial, we're getting to a point in the season where the wins are becoming maybe more important. I guess at the end of the day, all wins are equally important, but just feels more so when you're fighting for those playoff spots. You're starting to see how things are shaking out, and yeah, December 4th to December 10th, we've got a fun week coming up. Okay, I'm looking at the schedules here. There's a lot of teams with some off days. This isn't like everyone's fighting over the scraps from like one or two teams. There's going to be a lot of options here for us to go over, and hopefully I'll be able to give you some good players to think about. So looking at the schedule here, you've got Thursday and Saturday super busy. Then you've got Tuesday and Sunday, like kind of busy, 8 games on each of those days. It's kind of up to you to decide if that's a light day or a heavy day. I think I'd consider it a light day. Probably if you set your rosters, you'll be able to fit people in on your Sunday and Tuesday, though obviously you need to check. Don't just take my word for it. Monday, you've got 6 games, and then you got Wednesday and Friday super light. So yeah, we're going to be definitely targeting people playing not on Thursday, Saturday. And hey, if you could avoid Tuesday and Sunday, why not? I'm going to say the best schedule of the week has to go to the St. Louis Blues. They are the only team that plays 4 times with 3 off-day games, and none of them even touching the Tuesday or Sunday. So they go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the busy Saturday, which is perfect because you could add your streamer from St. Louis, get those 3 games, then you could always drop for the Saturday game, though the Saturday is against Chicago, so you may want to hold depending on who your other options are. But yeah, if you're looking at the St. Louis Blues, like, look, this is the streamer of the week. This is probably a potential hold. Like, pause the podcast, go add Jake Neighbors if he is somehow still out there for you. You've got the best schedule of the week, and you've got a guy playing on a line with Rob Thomas and Buchnevich, playing on the top power play, someone who is on a hot streak right now. Neighbors, so I'm currently recording this around 11:15 p.m. on Saturday, so the Blues are in the middle of a game where they are getting trounced by Connor Ingram and the Coyotes. Side note, go add Connor Ingram. I don't even care about their schedule. He's taken over as the starter on Arizona, and he's crushing it. But yeah, that's not a streamer suggestion. That's a hold suggestion. And maybe Jake Neighbors is also. So Neighbors, obviously no points today so far. But before that, he had 2 goals against Buffalo. He had a couple goals against Chicago. He's scoring a lot of goals, okay? He's taking shots. He throws hits even. What can't Jake Neighbors do? He even blocks, actually. He's had like 2 and 1 block in each of the last few games. So go grab him. Top line, top power play, on a hot streak, amazing schedule. I should stop the show here. Except, okay, so you might be in a serious league where he should be taken already, but he's only taken in 14% of Yahoo leagues over in Cupful going into today. 87% of Cupful divisions had Jake Neighbors rostered. I guarantee that's going to be 100 come Monday, and not because of this podcast. But maybe because of this podcast. But yeah, probably just because the Cupful has some smart managers, the Keeping Karlsson Ultimate Patron Fantasy League. Okay, you can't get Neighbors. You want to take advantage of that nice St. Louis schedule. I mean, so the next line would be the Kyrou line, of course. Kyrou, Shen, and Kevin Hayes. So, okay. I guess those are, and Shen is also on the top power play with Buchnevich, Thomas, Neighbors, and Krug, which is kind of crazy that Jordan Kyrou hasn't been on the top power play lately. Maybe things change after this game where they're losing to Arizona, so we'll see. Yeah, Braden Shen would be someone to go after. I'd definitely take Neighbors first. Shen is taken in more Yahoo leagues, 42%. He's taken in a couple more Cupful league, so maybe Shen isn't even available for you, but if he is, that makes a good stream. And then if you want to go with Kevin Hayes, he hasn't actually been as bad as he was to start the year. He's kind of going 1 game on, 1 game off with some production. He had a goal and an assist in the game before this Arizona one versus Buffalo. So, if you're playing with Kyrou, I like it. So Kevin Hayes would be a guy to look at in your deeper leagues. Kevin Hayes is available he's taken in 8% of Yahoo leagues. So yeah, it's not like the lowest available person, but definitely someone that should be available to you in a lot of leagues. Okay, looks like if I'm reading this correctly, he's not rostered in any Cupful divisions. Interesting. This is all data provided obviously by the great Kevin Hebert. All right, so that's the St. Louis Blues. Next up, It's hard to say like what's the best schedule, what's not. But I'm going to say even a team that plays 3 times, even though there's a lot of teams that play 4 times, so we got to look at the Pittsburgh Penguins, right? Because they just go straight up Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're done. You drop for the weekend. It's honestly just as good as the St. Louis one because you're not going to have room to fit your St. Louis streamer on Saturday unless it's Jake Neighbors, in which case, like I said, he's a hold and you probably want him over a lot of people, assuming the deployment holds. But yeah, Pittsburgh goes at Philly, at Tampa, and at Florida. So we'll see how they do in those games. And let's take a look and see who's going to be available from the Penguins that you might want to stream. The answer? Unfortunately, not that many people. It's the Penguins. All the good players are generally rostered, right? Your top power play, Malkin, Crosby, Gensel, Rust, Erik Karlsson, all gone, of course, in your league. Chris Letang. We've been having some people thinking of dropping Chris Letang. If he's been dropped, go grab Letang, at least for that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, even in a shallow league. And then, I guess you look at the second line, which has had Malkin, Riley Smith, and in today's game versus Philly, Drew O'Connor. But I mean, come on. That's probably not going to last. And even if it does, it's Drew O'Connor. He did score a goal, not today, but in the last game on Thursday versus Tampa Bay, and he had 6 shots. That was a good game. So if you're in a super deep league, you want to get 3 guaranteed games from Drew O'Connor because you're going to fit him in on all those light days, I guess. But you're unlikely to be very successful. So unfortunately, I mentioned the Penguins as having good schedule, but there's nothing you could do with it. Unless somehow Letang was dropped in your league. Letang's down to 80% rostered on Yahoo. Unthinkable in previous years. Yahoo's weird, right? Malkin's only 92%. I guess Malkin's actually on kind of a cold streak. Maybe I should bring him up for tomorrow. No, he has a point in each of his last 3 games. Before that, he was super cold. I was looking at last 14 days average, and that number was kind of low. Erik Karlsson is also not doing too much lately, but we don't need to talk about that. So yeah, Pittsburgh and St. Louis are the only teams that have 3 off-day games if we're including Tuesday and Sunday, those 8 game days as busy days. But if we consider those as light days, then obviously we get to add a few more teams that have 3 off-day games in the week. So again, you have to check your schedule. But let's roll through those teams. I guess let's start over in Minnesota. They go Tuesday, and then Thursday, then Friday, Sunday. So Thursday, you're probably full. So it's, I guess, a tough decision of whether or not you want to grab the Minnesota player just for the Tuesday, and then you're waiting all the way till Friday, Sunday. But maybe, and obviously, again, Sunday is kind of a busy-ish day, so make sure you can fit that person in. But anyway, let's see if there's anyone on Minnesota even worth targeting. And I guess, yeah, we got to jump to the top line, assuming things stay the same. Marco Rossi is centering Kaprizov and Zuccarello. Hartman's going to be back from his suspension, but Rossi was there before. And you know what? Rossi's been not amazing. He did have an assist in the last game, but it's good deployment. I guess we do have a Sunday game coming up tomorrow, so you can kind of get another data point to see how Rossi is looking. But he's someone maybe to take a look at. If you're low on defensemen and you could actually fit a Minnesota defenseman in on the Thursday and you could actually fit all 4 games, you got to kind of consider Jonas Brodin at this point. He's been doing pretty good, a really solid base with his blocks, like 6 blocks a couple games back, 2 and 1, but he's getting a few points. He's got 3 points in his last 7 games. So, and even some shots, which is kind of rare for a defenseman. So I'm not saying he's gangbusters, but if you can fit 4 games, sometimes it's nice to just get that solid floor, get your 3.5 couple points per game, hope for an assist or 2 over those 4 games to bring it up to 4 point something, a couple points per game. So yeah, maybe take a look at Brodin. But aside from that, who do you really recommend? Marcus Johansson is kind of in a good spot, with Eriksson, Ek, and Boldy. He was doing well from there last year, but really hasn't done anything this year. I guess another defenseman actually in the same vein as Brodin is Jake Middleton. He had a goal actually in the last game on Thursday versus Nashville. He's also pretty solid for the hits and blocks. So we could flip a coin on Middleton or Brodin if you just want that solid defenseman. But yeah, as far as forwards, no one especially exciting over on Minnesota, aside from Marco Rossi, the top line center. So why do I need to sell it short and be I don't have anything for you? I gave you a top line center, and Rossi is only taken in 4% of Yahoo leagues, so he might be out there for you. So take a look. A team with the same schedule, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, as Minnesota is the Columbus Blue Jackets. And the Blue Jackets, that's an interesting team that you might have some streamers that you might want to consider there. Both players that have been especially frustrating, some people who have been really good, but still people aren't jumping up on. So yeah, I guess let's start with Adam Fantilli, who I dropped out of frustration after he was doing nothing forever. Shams went on a funny rant about him on the last Short Shifts episode, which I'm sure you enjoyed, where he was talking about his expected goals being, what was it, like 0.01. It was pretty humorous. And then, of course, then that dropped on Thursday night, and then Fantilli scored a goal on the Friday. So obviously that's how fantasy works. But yeah, so he's been playing with Patrick Laine. Laine scored a goal in the last game. So who knows? Maybe Fantilli can start turning it around. Obviously, he's got all the skill in the world. He's going to be a superstar in the league, I'm pretty sure. So you can go for him. Also, Fantilli was on the top power play with Jenner, Gaudreau, Laine, and Zach Werenski. So if there's been enough people frustrated with him that have dropped him, you got 3 off-day games next week. See if you could make room on the Thursday, or if not, yeah, that's definitely someone to consider. Then if you want to look at who's been playing on the top line, recently called up Kent Johnson, who didn't do too much in his first game. He did actually very little, just a single shot on goal and no hits and blocks, only played 12 minutes, 31 seconds. He was doing really well in the minors, and if he sticks on this line with Jenner and Gaudreau, and I think he will, like Columbus won the game 4-2, so why make any changes? That could be someone that could hit. And then, of course, this is like the third line, bottom 6. You'd be like, why are you recommending a bottom 6er? But we have to mention Dmitry Voronkov, who continues to produce, right? Voronkov is having a really nice run right now. He scored a goal in that last game versus Ottawa. He had an assist in the game before versus Montreal. He scored a goal in the previous game before that versus Boston. So we've got a 3-game point streak for Voronkov. Ever since the news came out that he was like thinking of moving to Russia, I guess he was like, I'm going to show people that I definitely don't need to move anywhere because I'm having a lot of fun and having a lot of success. So yeah, Voronkov is definitely someone that I would consider. He's still available in a whole lot of leagues, only taken in 2% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing on a line with Marchenko and Chinnikov. So a fun, I guess, Russian line over there in that last game. So, all potentially good streamers. It's hard for me to even say like who I would take first. Fantilli on the top power play, Kent Johnson on the top line, or Voronkov, who's actually on a hot streak. So do I have to? I don't know. Obviously, I'm not good at picking it because I dropped Fantilli and I added Kent Johnson for the Friday game and I lost out on a goal. So don't listen to me. Just, use your own judgment. I'm just giving you the information here. Okay. Is this good content for me to just say that? Try to not have any responsibility here. I told you to get Jake Neighbors. Is that not enough? And I said it, by the way, at the start of the last show also. So you can't be like, oh, now you come along and tell me about Jake Neighbors when he's already taken. I right at the start of last week's show, we were talking about something else. And I was like, by the way, go grab Jake Neighbors. So. But yeah, I don't know who to take on Columbus. Columbus is so frustrating. Like Provorov might have been dropped in your league. He was someone who was doing nothing. Now he's on a nice little run. He has 2 points in his last 3 games. So if you need defense, I would definitely grab Provorov over both of those Minnesota guys that I mentioned, Brodin and Middleton. So there's that for you as well. Okay, we've got one more team that plays 4 times on the week with 3 off-day games, and probably even a better schedule than the other couple because we get Monday, Wednesday, and then Saturday, Sunday. So you could always get the Monday, Wednesday, and then decide if you want to hold on or wait for the weekend. And that's the Vegas Golden Knights, and they've shifted up their lines a little bit. It's been lately Eichel and Stone together on the top line, which is great for them. And then Ivan Barbashev as the third piece there, at least today in this game that's still ongoing versus the Washington Capitals. Is right now 2-0 for Vegas. So it seems like it's going okay, which means they're probably not going to change anything. So yeah, Barbashev had a great game in his last game versus Vancouver, a goal and an assist. Before that, he did nothing forever. But if he's going to be on a line with Eichel and Stone, I feel like that's a recipe for success. So as far as people on Vegas that might be available to you, how could I not recommend Barbashev, right? Sometimes you just got to take the person that's not on a hot streak, but has all the reason. And he did well last year in a similar spot, or at least with Eichel. So that was with Eichel and Marchessault. Marchessault finally got a goal here. Hopefully he's getting going a little bit. He hadn't been doing much lately. But yeah, Marchessault is on a line, by the way, with William Karlsson, who's definitely not available for you anymore. As much as the short shifts people and Brian all want to tell you that William Karlsson's going to fall off. Like, yeah, he went cold for a bit, but that was during a stretch where Vegas just wasn't scoring any goals. Once they start scoring again, like in that last game versus Vancouver, he got one of the goals. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm like a super fan of William Karlsson or anything, but I do have a feeling that he's a hold. I know Brian thinks he's going to be a drop at some point. But yeah, regardless, he's on the top power play. He's probably not taking your league. If you could get William Karlsson, I'd grab him, but he's 79% rostered on Yahoo. You could take the person playing with Marchessault Karlsson, Paul Cotter, but he's like not doing anything at all. Like there's no reason for like, and he's been in decent spots like this. So yeah, as far as Vegas, we're pretty much looking at Barbashev, I think. And if we look at the couple, which is a more representative sample, he's only taken 34% of Yahoo leagues. And again, like I said, you get the Monday, Wednesday, and you reassess. I think that's a pretty good stream, to be honest. So I would consider him among my top options and just hope that he can get in on some of the magic with Eichel and Stone. And of course, if you want defense, there's always like our favorite, Braden McNabb, who's just so solid. He's going to give you like 2.75 to 4 couple points. So, for 4 games, he's probably going to be worth at least like 11 or so on the week if you could fit all 4 games. So, very low ceiling, but decent floor with his reliable hits and blocks. So you could consider McNabb. Obviously, that's too boring of an option for me to actually make as an official pick. All right, there's still some other teams with interesting schedules that I'll throw at you. So let's take a quick break and we'll roll through a few more. We are back. Hello, everybody. This is the Matchup Maximizer where Elan Dubrovsky, myself, I'm going through some teams with good schedules. I've got a couple more teams with 3 off-day games, assuming, again, that Tuesday and Sunday are off days for you. Both of these teams, Edmonton and Florida, play Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So this is the kind of situation where maybe you can, if you really want one of these players, you could kind of roll the dice, wait until, get a Monday game from someone else and then swap over, maybe get a Tuesday game. If you really want to wait, get up at 3 a.m. on Wednesday morning Eastern to grab this player, then you'll get 3 days to end the week there. On Edmonton, it's typical. There's nobody. Like that's the answer, right? Connor Brown has been playing with Draisaitl and Evander Kane, but somehow just getting absolutely nothing. So I don't know even what he's doing there, but he's standing around, not getting in on any of the plethora of points that the other two are getting. Maybe the best option might be on defense. Matthias Ekholm was only taken 26% of Yahoo leagues. He's just like, he had 5 shots in the last game, actually, versus Winnipeg. No goals. And before that, he had points in a couple games straight. Ekholm's just like playing a lot, and he's on the ice with all these high scorers. So I think he's just a really decent bet. He's a good player, right? So I think that Ekholm is someone I would probably take over any of the forwards that might be available to you if we're looking at streamers on Edmonton. Then over on Florida, he's up, he's down. Like they talk about him in short shifts all the time and decide whether they should hold him or drop him. But I think right now we're back to a situation with this good schedule, especially come Wednesday. Maybe you don't have to rush to add Evan Rodriguez, but if he's still out there and it's Wednesday morning, go get the Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. He just had an assist today versus the Islanders. Before versus Montreal on Thursday, he had a goal and an assist. Erod is playing with Barkov and Reinhart. That's a very good spot. You don't need me to tell you that. Obviously, top power play would be nice. That's not happening. Looks like Sam Bennett has locked that spot in. But Evan Rodriguez, definitely someone that you should grab. And, speaking of Sam Bennett, he's actually only taken in 19% of leagues, like in Yahoo, I should say. Like Evan Rodriguez has taken 32% of leagues. So I guess a lot of people just were so frustrated and dropped him, then stopped paying attention. Like I would definitely take Sam Bennett ahead of Evan Rodriguez. Trev, you could put that down, and I feel pretty confident about that one. I'll take the guy playing on the top power play and also on a solid line with Verhaeghe and Tkachuk. So yeah, if you can get Sam Bennett, then do it. But Bennett is taken in 100% of couple divisions. So if you're in a serious league, he's gone. Evan Rodriguez only 74. So he might be someone that you should be able to get. So obviously go and take a look and see what you can do. So that's it for all of the teams that have 3 off-day games when you include Tuesday and Sunday as off days. I still do always have a soft spot for a team that gives you a couple off-day games early in the week. Since then, you could get that early production, then drop for a later week streamer like I just talked about. We've got a couple of Wednesday, Friday, Sunday teams to get your off-day games later. But yeah, your Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday teams start with the Carolina Hurricanes. And the Hurricanes lately have been rolling Michael Bunting back on that top line, with Aho and Seth Jarvis, which means Michael Bunting is once again interesting. No points today somehow in the 6-2 win over Buffalo, but he did have 3 points in his previous 2 games. I assume the lines will stay the same after a big successful win. So go ahead and grab Michael Bunting for the Monday at Winnipeg, Wednesday at Edmonton, and then reassess. Maybe the lines will probably change by then anyways, because that's what Rod Brindamore does. But yeah, for now, Michael Bunting becomes interesting over on Carolina. If you want to, if you have open defense available, it's so frustrating. Jacob Slavin is someone I grabbed in Cupful. Like, he was on a run of like 4 points in 4 games. I jumped on him. Then he went pointless for 3 games. I dropped him, and now he has 3 points in his last couple of games with 2 assists in this game versus Buffalo. So Slavin is very frustrating, but if you want to take a shot, get that Monday, Wednesday, and then maybe even if you have room for defense on Thursday, Saturday, then he's definitely someone that you probably want to look at there. Okay, moving on to another team with the same schedule, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. That's the Dallas Stars. And I wanted to end on this team in particular because there's a player that is on a really good hot streak that is still available in a lot of leagues, only rostered in 4% of Yahoo leagues. Mason Marchment in the big 8-1 win over Tampa today. Marchment had a goal, an assist, 4 shots. Before that, on Thursday, he had 2 goals and 5 shots versus Calgary. Before that, an assist versus Winnipeg. So Mason Marchment, out of nowhere, he was doing nothing to start the season, but now all of a sudden he's racking up the points from his line with Sagan and Matt Duchene. That whole line, by the way, might be available to you, depending on how deep your league is. Duchene only rostered in 57% of Yahoo leagues, Sagan 42%. I would take those guys ahead, but then if they're both taken, yeah, go for Mason Marchment. Why not? Ride the streak. He's on a line that's working. And Dallas ran some weird power plays in this last game. And I'm seeing we're talking like 1 power play or maybe 2, but I'm seeing that it was Sagan, Robertson, Marchment, White, Johnston, was a unit for a bit. And then also Pavelski, Ben, Duchene, Hintz. So I don't know what's going on exactly. Maybe there was some weird effects in that game. I don't think that we can consider Mason Marchment a top power play guy, but still on a good streak. And like I said, you could get that Monday, Wednesday versus Tampa and versus Florida. Oh, a rematch versus Tampa. That's fun. And then you can reassess after that. Another team that plays Monday, Wednesday that I'll just mention really quickly is the Tampa Bay Lightning playing Dallas and Pittsburgh. Tampa, always a difficult team to stream from, just like the Edmonton Oilers. If maybe the lines will get shaken up again. But in this last game, they were rolling a Stamkos, Kucherov, and Point, just loading up the top line. It did not work. Sometimes you have Stamkos playing with like an Asimont or a Nick Paul or Barry Boulet. So you can go and watch GameDayTweets.com for the latest line combinations for Tampa and try to jump on someone getting exposure to Stamkos. Probably if Stamkos isn't with Kucherov and Point, then it'll just be Hagel with Kucherov and Point. But yeah, that's always really tough to predict. I think I've named a lot of players that are appealing here. It's going to obviously be a tough choice to decide on a couple to stream from. Maybe the choices have been made for you in your league, where a lot of these players that are rostered in a lot of leagues are already taken. By the way, on Dallas, I should have also mentioned Wyatt Johnston. I'll just mention him. He had an assist today. He had a couple goals a few games back. I like him. He's a high pedigree guy. If he's available and that whole line of Sagan, Duchene, and Marchment is taken, then Wyatt Johnston would be another good pick to get the Monday, Wednesday. So I'll throw him out there as well. But yeah, my top pick is Jake Neighbors. He should be taken. After that, let's go Marchment. Why not? Let's have some fun. Okay. And yeah, good luck to everyone. Okay. And then I'll throw out, can I say Sam Bennett as an option? If Sam Bennett counts and he's an obvious streamer, he's probably a hold. And then an Evan Rodriguez could be another one. Those will be my top 4 picks that I like that have a decent number of off-day games. So yeah, good luck, everyone. Hopefully you have some success next week. All the streaming in the world wouldn't have saved me in my matchup this week. Congratulations to McCall, my opponent in Cupful this week, who is just having an incredible week. His team is going off, currently projected for 282. I wonder if his players go off even more on Sunday. Maybe he could break the elusive 300 mark. My players, not so good. I'm starting to think maybe I should not have drafted Alex Ovechkin where I did. I don't think that's too surprising of a thought to be having right now. I still have Troy Terry also. How long do I hold on to these people? My streaming has actually been pretty good. It's my draft that is sinking me. I got some good hits. I picked up Mikhail Backlund last week. He's got a goal today. He had an assist in the last game. He's looking like a good hold. But, like I said, I had Tolvanen who was hot. But yeah, the players I drafted just letting me down. But that's okay. Don't worry about me. You worry about yourself. And we're going to stream together to get some points. And I think that if you listen to these tips from this episode, you're going to do pretty well next week. Stay tuned for the mega show with Brian and I coming up tomorrow. It should drop in your feed by Monday morning. We have a lot of fun stuff planned for that episode. And of course, you'll have some more short shifts. So just make sure you're subscribed to Keeping Karlsson wherever you get your podcast. Get them auto downloaded so that they're ready for you whenever you want your next hit of fantasy hockey content. Also, we asked the short shifts people to mention this. I'll throw it out as well. We're at the point in the season for the Keeping Karlsson Ultimate Patron Fantasy League where some people are starting to abandon their teams. Like, not a lot, but obviously with 600 plus people, even a small percentage adds up a little bit. And so we are having some openings come up. So now is a great time if you want to sign up to be a patron, and you can get on the wait list, and you'll probably get a team pretty soon. And I think it's a good experience to just, if you're planning on one day becoming a full-timer in Cupful, like actually drafting a team from the start, why not take over a team now? Get your legs under you. Even if you take over a team that's not really good, it's a fun challenge, by the way. You don't have to feel bad about having drafted, making so many draft mistakes like I did. Even if you have a not such great team, you can just take on the challenge and see how well you could turn the team around with some good streaming and ads out of free agency. And then you'll have some experience. Then next year you'll be ready to go, and you'll have a head start over new managers in the Cupful. So consider coming aboard. We also just have fun. If you're a patron of Keeping Karlsson, you get to hang out in our Discord with our amazing community. Such smart people, always really interesting conversations. So that's keepingkarlsson.com/patron for more information on that. But with that, I will bid you adieu and talk to you tomorrow for the mega show. See ya and good luck.